If the studios are doing well, then I'm doing well. And I want the people who are helping to make that happen feel like they are doing really well as well. My instructors have a different base plus bonus. They have a base rate for a class, whether there are 0 people or up to 5 people. If no one books into their class, they still get paid even if nobody comes. Fortunately, that's not an issue. But so there's a base rate. And then for the 6th, 7th, 8th through 12th person, they get paid a per head bonus. I think in my ideal world, I want a balance because if I had everybody teaching 18, 25 classes a week, then every time somebody takes a vacation, that's a ton of classes to cover. And that becomes really difficult if everybody else on your team also teaches 18 to 25 hours a week, because it's a little bit trickier to add classes into your week when you're at that level. So I really like having a mix. I mean, as you and I went back and forth leading up to this, I wouldn't say that I have a full-time model. I really have tried to craft like a meet people where they are model. And I have plenty of people who this is a side hustle for them and they teach, like 3 to 5 classes a week. People who have this as a side hustle on the weekends or early mornings or evenings, that's great because they have the opportunity to pick up classes once in a while if they have, a random day off work or just feel like they have a lighter week with work, so they're able to fill in the gaps a bit more. But then obviously the workforces who are teaching the 20 to 30 classes a week are very helpful in terms of providing that consistency. It's inherently somewhat in terms of how full your classes are. If you're not a great teacher, you're less likely to have full classes. Now, when we're an at capacity studio, classes are full for most everybody, so that's less of an issue. But I think it's a little bit factored in there and is an incentive for people to teach the best classes they can. And then also, I said tenure, but it's really like tenure slash metrics around, how your evaluations have gone. And then we do semi-annual surveys at each of the studios. So that's right now 14 surveys a year. So we're constantly getting feedback from our members on teachers. So if we know that somebody is consistently a really highly preferred teacher, then they may be working up that ladder a bit more quickly. All of the managers are incentivized with that bonus. And then, as I talked about, for teachers, if you're teaching more than 18 classes a week, then that is the incentive. I mean, you're getting a $3 extra bump on every single class you teach, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you multiply 3 times 18 times 50, it comes out to a few $1,000s a year, which ends up being pretty meaningful. It's a role that I created, I guess, 2 years ago at this point, when I realized there were ideas, things that we weren't getting to, and we just needed more bandwidth, as well as things like HVAC that I was still responsible for scheduling. HVAC, and I don't know why that's a big pain point, but just any of sort of the like utilities and kind of studio functionality aspects. I've been opening about a studio every 6 months, or that's kind of been the cadence I'm working on right now. So that is a lot of my time because as much as the presale manager is helping with presale memberships and with some of the marketing and just day-to-day like ordering of some repeated supplies, and we're trying to make a lot of her role as turnkey as possible so that she can take more things off my plate. There are things that as an owner, like finding a location, negotiating the lease, negotiating an LOI, negotiating a lot of negotiations, negotiating with contractors, et cetera, that I can't really outsource as easily. So my recent focus has been a lot on new studios, both the ones on the horizon, the one most immediately on the horizon for us, future studios looking for spaces, and then the cleanup of whatever studio has opened most recently. So that's a big chunk of my work. And then I would love to say that more of it is like elevated and sexy, but like as a business owner, I still haven't figured out the way to get off some of the things, just like the insurance renewals and permit renewals. And when it's times 8, it tends to be a lot. So that is more of my hours than I would like. Any sort of financial management, dealing with accountants, et cetera, is on my plate. And then I'm still probably more day to day involved in managing the team, even though in theory everybody directly reports into either the regional manager or Josie. I'm still really involved in the business just because, it's hard to get away from old habits and break them. And as much as I ascribe to the multiplier way of being, it's hard to not have my fingers in pots that maybe I'm shouldn't over time. For us, I think having a blend of different employee types has been really helpful. I want people to be as all in as works for them. I don't want, as I said, I don't want all full-time instructors because for me, I think that with the number of studios we have and the number of classes a week, it would be really tricky to continue to backfill when people are on vacation, sick, et cetera. So I think this blend has worked well both for us as a management team to have some balance, and then it's worked really well to have people feel supported. So over time, so yeah, I mean, I guess this blend has been really positive for us and hopefully for the team. I have incentives for people who do want to go all in to make this a sustainable career. So one of your questions originally was like, when did we create a full-time model? And technically it was when we introduced health insurance because we had to define what full-time meant to qualify for health insurance. But over time, we've layered in a 401k program. We've layered in PTO and sick leave for every person on our team, whether they're a sales associate, manager, or teacher. Created a short-term disability program for all of our full-time employees. And then we've actually instituted even like a baby bonus for instructors who have a baby and come back. And it's all tied to consistency and longevity. If I'm doing well, I want this. If the studios are doing well, then I'm doing well. And I want the people who are helping to make that happen feel like they are doing really well as well. My philosophy is to try to have a balance of people between full-time and part-time to make the business work and to help people of all statuses on our team feel like they are valued and appreciated. Because I am a believer that long term, if my team's happy and then they'll stay longer and they'll be happier teachers or happier people to greet people when they come into the studio. And that will make for happier members and make my life easier long term.